chapter 10, 11, and 12 in the book of Numbers. Making it through the whole Bible. One day at a time. One day at a time. I can't wait till we get to I'm trying to get some Proverbs in here, you know. The book of Psalms. You know, Judges and Kings go pretty hard too, though. But yeah, what's up? Hope your family's doing good. But yeah. Thank you, Father God, for being with us. Thank you for giving us another day. Thank you for providing for us way more than we actually need. Thank you for always giving us, everything and more. I pray that you are with me as I read this Bible. I pray that you're in this room with me and everyone else who's listening to it. I pray that your words are being spoken through my mouth, and I pray that all the ones who need to hear anything I'm saying of, your will today hears it. In Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So, let's see. Chapter 10 is about the silver trumpets. How was Israel to move in step with the cloud of God's presence? A large group of people needed to be marshaled, or else any movement was bound to be chaotic. So the primary purpose of the trumpets was to signal when different tribes were set out, but they are also used to summon the congregation or the chiefs. Their use in war on the festival days is also prescribed, but blowing the trumpets was more than just a way of summoning the people to come to the tabernacle or to follow a cloud. It was a kind of prayer, a plea to God to remember his people and their needs, that you may be remembered before the Lord your God. 2 silver trumpets, according to Josephus, were just over a foot in length and flared. They are pictured on Titus's arch among the plunder he brought to Rome from Jerusalem. 2 ways of blowing the trumpets are mentioned here: simply blowing and sounding an alarm. The difference is that blowing involves long notes, whereas sounding alarm is done with staccato blasts. On the day of your gladness would include such occasions as festivals or victory celebrations after battle. Interesting. So that's 1 through 10. Let's get into it. My baby right now is like grabbing all the we recycle a little bit. She's grabbing all the recycled bottles and just throwing them on the floor because she's a baby and babies do stuff. Enjoy your ramen, man. God is good. All right. So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, make 2 silver trumpets, a hammered work you shall make them, and you shall use them for summoning the congregation and for breaking camp. And when both are blown, all the congregation shall gather themselves to you at the entrance of the tent of meeting. But if they blow only on, then the chiefs, the heads of the tribes of Israel, shall gather themselves to you. When you blow an alarm, at the camps that are on the east side shall set out, and then you blow an alarm the second time. The camps that are on the south side shall set out. An alarm is to be blown whenever they are set out. When the assembly is to be gathered together, you shall blow a long blast, but you shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron the priests shall blow the trumpets. The trumpet shall be to you for your perpetual statute throughout your generations. And when you go to war in your land against the adversary who oppresses you, then you shall sound an alarm with the trumpets, that you may be remembered before the Lord your God, and you shall be saved from your enemies. On the day of your gladness also, at your appointed feast, and at the beginning of your months, you shall blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifice of your peace offerings. They shall be a reminder of you before your God. I am the Lord your God. So, hey, just saying that we got two trumpets. Right now, the tribes of Israel are moving when they blow the trumpet. They're signaling when they're supposed to be moving, because they're only supposed to be moving when God tells them to move. And it's just like, yo, we up, we gone. And then also they were blowing it as kind of an alarm. And just like a reminder, man, when you feel like you're under attack, when you feel like the enemy is coming after you, you should blow your alarm too. Blow that trumpet. And by that, I mean, just start praying. Pray to God. Let him know. I know he knows because he knows everything, but just let him know that, you know, you're waiting for him. Or not waiting for him because he's already there, but, you know, you're like, I'm under attack, God. Come save me. Just throw out the bat signal. Essentially. Is that your baby? Let me see. Look at the baby. Here you go. You can go play with her. Thank you. So chapter 10 verses 11 through 16 is this next section, and it's saying in that chapter, or 11 and 12, I'm sorry, is saying that in the second year, marching from Mount Sinai to Kadesh, as pointed out above, the book of Numbers alternates static sections devoted to law giving and organization with travel log. In chapters 10 through 12, Israel moves from the foot of Mount Sinai to Kadesh Barnea, an oasis on the southern border of Canaan. Initially, all runs are smoothly. The cloud lifted and the people of Israel set out. They blew those trumpets, you know. And then just as in chapter 9, 15 through 23 said they should, on the move the people proceeded in formation specified. They were followed by the Gershonites, Levites, their 2 wagons loaded with the tabernacle curtains, and the Medadite Levites with 4 wagons loaded with poles and pegs. These Levites preceded the Kohathites so that they could erect the tabernacle before the Kohathites arrived. The sacred furniture carried by the Kohathites could be installed immediately in the tabernacle. The Gershonites and the Medadites were followed by the Reubenite tribes. Then right after the center of the procession came most sacred items, tabernacle. However, it appears that the ark itself went out in front of the whole procession like the cloud. It symbolizes and conveyed God's presence and his guidance of his people. The rear of the procession was brought up by the Ephraimite and the Danite groups of the tribes. So yeah, just saying that this beginning part right here is just going to be saying that it's time to move, and just like we've already been through that, there's an order to the way that they move. There's a whole lot of tribes, a whole lot of people in each tribe, and everyone's got to move when the presence of God being kind of symbolized by this cloud that's following them, and the tabernacle themselves. It's when the cloud moves, it's time to move with it. And we just learned that they blew the trumpets, everyone got up, they moved, and they all moved in a certain order. So, and then just to go into a little bit more, this verses 11 through 28 right now that we're about to read. Israel strikes camp at Sinai. The people of Israel have been at Sinai for almost a full year. Israel now leaves Sinai to begin its journey to the promised land under the guidance and direction of Shekinah glory. That is the dwelling glory cloud. That's another way to say it. So that cloud that's following them, that is the presence of God. This text describes the striking of the Israelite camp and the order of the march of the tribes. And then, so it says, in the second year, in the second month, and the 20th day of the month, the cloud lifted from over the tabernacle of the testimony. And the people of Israel set out by stages from the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud settled down in the wilderness of Paran. And then just to break that down real quick, verse 12 says, and the people of Israel set out by stages from the wilderness of Sinai. One would expect the people to have felt tremendous excitement, pride, joy, and safety in God's protection when they set out in this great procession with trumpets, banners, and in the very front, the cloud that represents God himself. They were seeing dramatic evidence of the fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham hundreds of years earlier. Sadly, however, they soon complain. Oh, it's very interesting. Like I was saying before, the Israelites, they are full of complainers and people that just be like, God's not for us. He's turning his back on us. Woe is me. They're like very victimized people, and they play the victim a lot. The Israelites in the Bible. And so literally something to think about. This we just brought up right here. Trumpets are blowing. People are carrying God's throne on earth. They got this cloud that is lifting and falling. That is literally the presence of God guiding them into where they're supposed to be. And it's like very easy to see that God is here with us and that they're like being taken care of, right? If we go back to that blessing, that's the oldest blessing that we have written down. It says, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord makes his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Saying that the Lord is with you. He's protecting you. His grace is shining on you, and all of that is giving you peace because he walks with you. And so like that was found inscribed in a place that this tribe went. And even then, Israel is still going to be like, nah, God's not taking care of us. When they're literally being, kind of like walked across the street holding God's hand, and they're going to be like, God's not for us. But just to get into it now, where were we? Okay. And the people of Israel sat out by stages from the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud settled down in the wilderness of Paran. They set out for the first time at the command of the Lord by Moses. The standard of the camp of the people of Judah set out, first by their companies, and over their company was Nahshon the son of Amminadab, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Issachar was Nathaniel the son of Zuar, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Zebulun was Eliab the son of Helon. And when the tabernacle was taken down, the sons of Gershon and the sons of Merari, who carried the tabernacle, set out, and the standard of the camp of Reuben set out by their companies, and over their company was Eliezer, the son of Shedir, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Simeon was Shalumiel, the son of Zereshadai, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Gad was Eliasaph, the son of Deuel. Then the Kohathites set out carrying the holy things, and the tabernacle was set up before their arrival. And the standard of the camp of the people of Ephraim set out by their companies, and over their company was Elishama, the son of Ammihud, and over the company of the tribe of people of Manasseh was Gamaliel, the son of Pedhazur, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Benjamin was Abidan, the son of Gideoni. 29. Then the standard of the camp of the people of Dan acted as the rear guard of all the camps set out by their companies, and over their company was Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, and over the company of the tribes of people of Asher was Pagiel, the son of Okran, and over the company of the tribe of the people of Naphtali was Ahida, the son of Enan. This was the order of the march of the people of Israel by their companies when they set out. Now, from 29 to 32, these next couple verses, it's saying these verses describe the first 3-day march from Sinai towards Kadesh, led by the cloud and the ark. The repetition of 3 days emphasizes the short distance traveled. It does not imply the ark was separated from the main party by this distance. As the ark set out and rested, Moses expressed his confidence that God would bring Israel successfully into Canaan. So to actually read it now. And Moses said to Hobab, the son of Reuel, and the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, we are setting out for the place of which the Lord said, I will give it to you. Come with us, and we will do good to you, for the Lord has promised good to Israel. But he said to him, I will not go. I will depart to my own land and to my kindred. And he said, please do not leave us, for you know where we should camp in the wilderness, and you will serve as eyes for us. And if you do go with us, whatever good the Lord will do to us, the same will do to you. Okay, and then now verses 33 to 36 to end chapter 10. These verses describe the first 3-day march from Sinai toward Kadesh. Oh, no, that's the one I just read. Sorry. Right here. So they set out from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them 3 days' journey to seek out a resting place for them. And the cloud of the Lord was over them by a day whenever they set out from the camp. And whenever the ark set out, Moses said, arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered, and those who hate you flee before you. And when it rested, he said, return, O Lord, to the 10,000s, to the 10,000 thousands of Israel. What's up, guys? We're just reading the Bible. Can you read about Genesis chapters 4 through 6? I already did. If you go back in my list, if you just go to my gifted ministry page, everything that is Bible is on there. I collaborate with that page just to kind of keep everything organized. So Gifted Ministry will have that, but I did talk about chapters 4 through 6. Let's see what exactly is happening in chapters 4 through 6. We've been doing a lot of reading. Okay, so 4 is Cain and Abel. 5 is Noah. And then 6 is which the Lord's animal by the face of the Okay, so 6 is going to be the actual flood that happens. 5 is just the descendants. Just to give a quick kind of run through. Cain kills his brother. God's like, where's your brother? And then he's like, am I not my brother's keeper? And he acts like he doesn't know. But obviously he knows because he killed his brother. And then that all stems from Cain being jealous of Abel and his kind of sacrifice being accepted while Cain's wasn't accepted while Abel's was. And God even tells him, man, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. And it's a cautionary kind of tale to, not be jealous of people. And I feel like God felt that kind of, that hater gene inside Cain and was trying to get him to work on it. And instead of rising to the occasion while being tested, he failed miserably and actually killed his brother. And then as far as the rest of it, 5 is talking about Noah's lineage, and then 6 goes into the actual story, and you get some kind of background of why the flood happens. There was angels that came down and had kids with the women, right? The sons of man, the sons of God come down and have babies with the women's of man, the daughters of man. And they have these Nephilim babies, these giants that are kind of abominations in themselves. Written down throughout history as heroes, though, and it goes and says that those are like the the Greek demigods and all that of any hero of renown. But they are, not good. And then the world becomes super corrupt. And God's like, all right, you guys are so corrupt. And then God knows when we're so corrupt that because we have freedom of choice. And God has a plan, though. And so those guys all had choice, but then they were beyond the point of kind of turning back to the world as a whole was beyond the point of turning back to God. It was kind of lost. And God was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of wipe this board clean. We'll start fresh with Noah. And then the flood happens and kind of wipes everybody out. Just to give like a real quick run through. But I go through the whole chapter a little bit more thoroughly if you want to go back and read it. But back to where we are now, chapter 11 and 12 of Numbers. Let's see. Chapter 11, verses 1 through 12 are verses 1 through chapter 12, verse 16. Are about the whole people, and their most senior figures complain about the difficulties of the journey to Canaan. By implication, they are also complaining about Moses' leadership and God's promise. This pattern matches the problem of the journey from the Red Sea to Sinai. At the time, after a 3-day trek, the people had complained about water, and now they complain again. The next complaint is about food. The final protest is about Moses' leadership. So, you okay, Mama? Dang, you grubbing mac and cheese? You eating mac and cheese? I'm gonna put her on real quick. No, she's not wearing a shirt. I'm gonna put her on. But she is having a good time. All right. So verses 1 through 3, this is just a general complaint by the people in the judgment. Fire breaks out in outlying parts of the camp. Yeah. As on other occasions, Moses' intercessions halts God's judgment. Taberna means burning, like other place names in the Bible. It commemorates the event that occurred there. So, 1 through 3. And the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some outlying parts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So the name of the place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burned among them. And, kind of going back to what I just said about Cain and the check yourself before you wreck yourself. So these Israelites, like, God's literally giving them everything. He's giving them protection. He's giving them water. He's giving them food. He's like, you just got to listen to me, do what I tell you to do, and you're going to be in good hands. Like, I got you. Don't worry about it. And then they start complaining and like, well, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. Even though he's giving them water, he's giving them food every day. They're like, they just want more. They want way more than what they need. And God is already giving them more than they need, but they want even more so than that. They're just like complaining. And then God like makes a fire break out like outside the camp. And I think that's like that sign, like I said with the Cain thing. Man, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, man. And but you'll see, Israel just likes Israel just likes to complain a whole bunch, man. So verses 4 to 35 is that end this chapter? Yeah, that ends this chapter. That is about the second popular protest concerns the manna being food that has been Israel's food ever since it was provided on the way to Sinai. On the surface, the protest is merely about the monotony of the diet. Underlying the complaint, however, is yearning for the pleasures of Egypt and a rejection of God's plan. So let's get into it. Now the rabble that was among them has a strong craving, and the people of Israel also wept again and said, "Oh, that we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt that cost nothing, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our strength is dried up, and there is nothing at all but this manna to look at. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like that of bdellium. The people went about and gathered it and the ground in it hand mills or beat it into mortars and boiled it in pots and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was like the taste of cakes baked with oil. When the dew fell upon the camp at night, the manna fell with it. So I'm just like, God is like giving them food and water and everything every single day. Way more than enough to give them complete sustenance and get to like, they're not going starving. They have food and water to make it to the next day, you know, because we all know, like, if you've ever fasted, you don't even need food in a day. Like, you can do a lot without food. You can go a couple days without food. You can go a couple days without water. If you ever cut weight for a fight, you know, you can go a couple days without water. Not saying that you should do that. Yay. And so now they're just complaining that they're eating the same thing. God is giving them way more than they need, but now they're just upset that it's the same thing every day because they just like to complain. Now the manna was like coriander. I already said that. So bdellium is a pale yellow resin found in desert areas. And then 11 to 15 I'm gonna get into. So verses 11 through 15, Moses can bear the complaining no more and protest to God about the burden of leading Israel by himself. Moses heard the people weeping throughout their clans and everyone at the door of his tent, and the anger of the Lord blazed hotly, and Moses was displeased. Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant, and why have I not found favor in your sight, that you lay the burden of all the people on me? Did I conceive all this people? Did I give them birth that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a nurse carries a nursing child to the land that we swore to give, that you swore to give to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give it to all the people? For they weep before me and say, give us meat that we may eat. I am not able to carry all the people alone. The burden is too heavy for me. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once if I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness." So Jesus every day. Moses is all like, come on, God, like, what did I do to deserve this? These people are insufferable. Like, I'm trying to give them, like, I'm giving them this food. You're giving us all this food, but they just want more. They want more. They want more. They want more. She's grubbing. She doesn't want more. Oh. And Moses is like, why am I the one who's in charge of this? Like, I didn't sign up for this, man. Like, this is too much. I know it's too much sometimes, huh? Yeah, it's too much. And then it's going to go on to this next part. So then 16 through 23, verses 16 through 23, the Lord promises to meet Moses' need for assistance and the people desire for an alternative to manna, but God's apparent concession to the popular appetite will in fact prove to be a judgment, because they were in fact saying, why did we come out of Egypt? So God is taking kind of offense to that, because he's just like, dude, I saved you out of all this slavery. I saved you out of all this stuff. I saved you out of all, like, and you're over here really saying, like, why did we leave? It's like, dude, you were in slavery, being treated terribly, and you're over here like, well, at least we had meat over there. I'm telling you, people are crazy. So 16 to 23. Got it. Then the Lord said to Moses, gather for me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them take their stand there with you. And I will come down and talk with you there, and I will take some of the spirit that is on you and put it on them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you may not bear it yourself alone. And say to the people, consecrate yourself for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat, for you have wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, who will give us meat to eat? For it was better for us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall not just You shall not eat just 1 day or 2 days or 5 days or 10 days or 20 days, but a whole month, until it comes out your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why did we come out of Egypt? But Moses said, the people among whom I am number 600,000 on foot, and you have said, I will give them meat that they may eat a whole month. Shall flocks and herds be slaughtered for them and be enough for them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them and be enough for them? And the Lord said to Moses, is the Lord's hand shortened? Now you shall see whether my word will come true for you or not. That's a hard verse. Is the Lord's hand shortened? He's like, you don't think I can do this, man? Yeah. Blip, blip, blip. So now 24 to 30 is about Moses' request for okay, yeah. So Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord, and he gathered 70 men of the elders of people and placed them around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took some of the spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. And as soon as the spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but they did not continue doing it. Now 2 men remained in the camp, one named Eldad and the other named Medad, and the spirit rested on them. They were among those registered, but they had not gone out of the tent. And so they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Joshua the son of Nun, the assistant of Moses from his youth, said, my Lord Moses, stop them. But Moses said to him, are you jealous for my sake? Would all of the Lord's people were prophets, that the Lord would put his spirit on them? And Moses and the elders of Israel returned to the camp. So when it says under the influence, so Moses' request for assistance is met by the Lord endows 70 elders with the gift of prophecy. Unlike Moses, with his unique gift of prophecy, the elders prophesied only for a short time. They did not continue doing it. But this was enough to give them credibility as assistants to Moses. Their prophesying would involved some kind of speaking under the influence of the Holy Spirit, showing their similarity to the prophet Moses. It is unclear whether or not Eldad or Medad were attached to the group of 70. In any case, they prophesied in a different place in the camp, whereas the 70 had prophesied around the tent. This made their prophesying much more obvious to the other Israelites, which was a concern to Joshua. However, Moses' prayer, would that all the Lord's people were prophets, anticipates Joel's vision of the day of the Lord, when your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. When the passage speaks of the work of the Spirit, it is focusing primarily on empowering the Spirit for service to the people of God more than the eternal personal experience. And then, so 31 to 34, quail migrate north across Sinai Peninsula to the spring and return in the fall. So although the Israelites had eaten some in previous year, these were not a regular dish. The migration of the second year was such that the Israelites were able to catch enormous quantities of quail. They were piled 2 cubits, a cubit being 3 feet, or 2 cubits is 3 feet, high on the ground. Thus, anyone could collect at least 10 homers. That's roughly about 60 bushels. At least 10 homers, roughly 60 bushels. This greed was punished by very great plague. The form of the plague is unexplained, but it led many deaths, and the place was being named Kibroth Hattaavah, graves of craving. Interesting. So let's read it. Then a wind from the Lord sprang up, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on the side and a day's journey on the other side around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the ground. And the people rose all that day and all night and all the next day and gathered the quail. Those who gathered least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out over themselves all around the camp. while the meat was yet between their teeth before it was consumed, the anger of the Lord was kindled against the people. And the Lord struck down the people with a very great plague. Therefore, the name of the place was called Kibroth Hattaavah, because they were buried. The people who had the cravings from Kibroth Hattaavah, and the people journeyed to Hazareth then, and they remained at Hazareth. So, what's up, Annabelle? Let's go. So, like, all these quails come, and so, like, the food comes, and then these guys, like, gluttonously just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and then that is a problem. God doesn't want you to be gluttonous. Gluttony is a problem. It's very, very interesting thing to be thought about, because in ministry, there are tons and absolutely tons of people that will judge others for their sins and speak like they're some kind of super righteous person while openly being kind of overweight and not in shape, which means they themselves are suffering from gluttony and overindulging, which is a problem. God doesn't want you to overindulge, and sin is sin. So those two are just as bad as the people who are addicted to drugs, addicted to porn, addicted to, cheating. Like, they're just as guilty as everybody else. Hey, I'm trying to talk over here. They're just as guilty, and they act like they are not. I'm not saying that, like, you can't be chunky, but you should be actively, if you are chunky, you should actively be trying to get right, because getting right in shape is just as important as, being any other type of righteous. It aligns with God. But you can't go over, because life is about balance. So, like, if all you do is working out, and, like, you're addicted to working out, and you put working out on, like, this pedestal, and you neglect other things in your life because of that, then that is also a sin. But you shouldn't definitely just be, like, stuffing your face all day, because that's a problem. Eating too much. Hello and good night. All right, so chapter 12, our last chapter for today, a little short one. To get into it, verses 1 through 16, that's all of them, is about the uniqueness of Moses. After the protests of the people come an even more painful challenge of Moses' authority, his brother Aaron and the high priest and his sister Miriam, a prophetess, contest his unique position. Once again, their initial remarks concerning Moses' Cushite wife are only cover for their real complaint. Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? And then, so that's what this whole section's about. And then verses 1 through 2 in particular is Miriam and Aaron speaking against Moses. This represents a further challenge to Moses' supreme authority, which has many points in common with the previous two challenges. Cushite women. Nothing is known about the Cushite woman beyond this brief mention. She may be the same person as Zipporah, though she is usually described as a Midianite. Some texts, however, suggest Midian and Cushan are the same. Since Cush normally refers to an ancient Ethiopia, most interpreters think that the Cushite woman probably was Moses' second wife and that she came from Ethiopia. This leads some commentators to suggest that racial or ethnic prejudice may have been involved in the objection being to someone of African descent. In any case, it becomes clear that Miriam and Aaron's objection to the Cushite woman was a pretense and that a real issue was the challenge to Moses' supreme authority. So, just another example of people being a bunch of haters. But let's get into it. So 1 and 2. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman who he had married, and he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, has the Lord indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also? And the Lord heard it. So again, it's saying specifically because the Cushite woman, it might be his first wife, but it also may be in regards to perhaps a second wife from Ethiopia, and they might just kind of be a little bit racist right here, and they're using that as a means to just kind of show that Moses is possibly not being led by God. They're like, how do we know God's the only one? Moses is the only one that God's using over here. You know, like this guy got a Cushite woman, like, you know. Haters. Now verses 3-4, the Hebrew term here translated meek, so we're going to hear about meekness, is more often translated to humble or poor. The focus is more on Moses' attitude than on his demeanor. Some has argued that Moses could not have written in this way about himself, thereby challenging Moses' authorship of Numbers. It is clear, however, that the inclusion of this description of Moses' character is both accurate and necessary for understanding the account. On the face of the earth indicates that Moses was highly respected, certainly by Pharaoh and the people of Egypt, but also when he entered other peoples during the 40 years in wilderness, because the Egyptians are walking around for 40 years. And it's real funny, because if you look at a map from Egypt to the promised land where they're going, it's not a 40 years journey. Because they be tripping, they be getting lost, because sometimes they don't want to follow God. So just to keep going, 40 years in the wilderness, and Balaam and the dreads of the Moabites. Here Moses relies on divine vindication rather than in defending himself. Vindication comes quickly as Miriam, Aaron, and Moses are summoned by God, who then points out Moses' unique qualities as seen in the 11-line poem in chapter 12. Christians readers may be seen in the description of Moses' unique meditating role as foreshadowing of Christ the prophet. Okay, let's read those. So this is that's all just 2 verses, but so they're like, has he not spoken through us also? You know, like, has the Lord indeed spoken through Moses only? His brother, Moses' brother and sister tripping. Now the man Moses was very meek, more than all people who were on the face of the earth. So meek, again, meaning is more often translated humble. So he's saying that Moses is humble and on the face of the earth, indicating that he is very well known. And suddenly the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron and to Miriam, come out, you 3, to the tent of meeting. And the 3 of them came out. So God's like, y'all tripping. Let me tell you what's good. And then and the Lord came down in the pillar of cloud and stood at the entrance of the tent and called Aaron and Miriam, and the both of them came forward. So this next verses 6-8 sets Moses apart from the ordinary prophet. So God's going to explain why Moses is special. Revelation and dreams. By contrast, God speaks to Moses as mouth to mouth. This is one person facing another, and conversing, which implies verbal communication over extensive as so. So God is always speaking to Moses mouth to mouth, but in verse 8, one person facing or not verse 8, sorry. In Exodus, by contrast, God speaks to Moses mouth to mouth, verse 8. That is the one person facing another, and the conversing, which implies verbal communication, often extensive as well as an extended dialogue between his faithful in all my house. In other words, he is like the trusted manager of a man's household, such as Eliezer or Joseph. He is someone with whom the owner speaks directly, explicitly, not in riddles. The form of the Lord is sometimes translated likeness. At Sinai, Israel did not see God's likeness, but only heard his voice. It is not entirely clear how seeing God's form or likeness differs from seeing his face, but it apparently involved a less extensive kind of vision. This point here, as Moses was allowed to see what ordinary believers must wait for their death to see. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? To oppose Moses, whom God had put in the position, was also to oppose God himself. So God's going to talk to his brother and sister, and he's going to be like, dude, you're tripping. Like, this is why Moses is special. I talk to him mouth to mouth. Like, this ain't no, like, I'm right here before him. He has seen me, which is something special in itself. And I don't speak to him in riddles. I just be talking to him as is. And he's just like, why are you not afraid to speak against Moses? Because Moses is a representation of God. So being against Moses is being against God himself. So God's going to just bring that up to him right now. So you can, as he goes into it. And God said, and he said, hear my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. So this is going back to that. So he's saying right here, when a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision. And that's why Moses is special, because he doesn't even come to Moses in a vision. He shows up to Moses and talks to him face to face. Or, I mean, he like walks in front of him. Moses was able to see him. He still couldn't look at his face, but, you know, he was there with him. Like he saw him, not his face. I speak with him in a dream, not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house, with him I speak the mouth to mouth, clearly and not in riddles, and he beholds the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. So yeah, Jesus, God's like, man, y'all tripping, because going against Moses is going against me, because Moses is special. So now verses 9 through 12 are going to explain Moses' unique access to God should have been evident all along to Miriam and Aaron. There prompts the anger or obtuseness prompts the anger of God. Leprous like snow, biblical leprosy covers a variety of skin conditions characterized by sores, peeling skin. The flakiness of Miriam's skin, not necessarily its whiteness, causes her affliction to be compared to the snow of the skin of a stillborn child. So, and they get in trouble for it. So, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. When the cloud removed from over the tent, behold, Miriam was leprous like snow. And Aaron turned toward Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said to Moses, O my Lord, do not punish us, because we have done foolishly and have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, whose flesh is half eaten away when he comes out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried to the Lord, O God, please heal her, please. That's one thing about Moses. He's a real one. You're going to see in Deuteronomy too. He's like, he really be praying on behalf of, like, that's his brother and sister. Even though they be giving him a hard time, he's like, come on, God, that's my brother, that's my sister. Don't do him like that. But the same thing with like all of Israel. He'd be like, come on, man. They don't know God. Like, let them be. I'm sorry. And he's apologizing on their behalf. And that's probably why God chose him to be the leader. So now verses 13 through 16, just to end it. As the final proof of Moses' status, his prayer of his sister's healing is immediately answered, but like other lepers, she must be shut outside the camp 7 days before readmitting. The punishment is justified by comparison with the family custom, where the child must be disciplined for shaming her father. So, but the Lord said to Moses, if her father had but spit in her face, should he not be shamed 7 days? Let her be the shut outside the camp 7 days, and after that she may be brought in again. So Miriam was shut outside the camp 7 days, and the people did not set out the march until Miriam was brought in again. After that, the people set out Hazareth, that camped in the wilderness of Paran. So God's like, man, nah, she outside the camp, man. She just like spat in my face because she's spitting in your face and you're a representation of me. So she's going to be punished. He's like, she's going to be healed, but she's going to be punished for 7 days. So he kind of clears up the leprosy, but she has to, like with all things that are unclean, be kind of cast out. She basically got time out for 7 days. But that is chapters 10, 11, and 12. I think that's going to be it for today. I got to go teach right now. So tomorrow, at least 13, 14, and 15. But we'll see if we can get a little bit more in. But yeah, man, we're just making our way through the book of Numbers. Again, that was 10, 11, and 12. God bless, guys. Praying that, you guys all know that God is with you, that he does want you to do good, He wants you, not even wants you, he is providing for you abundantly right now. Absolutely abundantly. And for some reason, some of us think that abundantly is still not enough. And that's the problem. You have more than you need, and it's still not enough. If you're able to flip that mind, that state of mind, and just know, and just live in a state of gratitude, you're going to understand that abundance is all around you. All right, let me go back and read that. I love that blessing, the oldest blessing that has ever been found. Let me read it again. The Lord bless you, keep you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. The Lord is blessing you. He protects you. He makes his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you. So like that reason like that you should be smiling is because you are protected, right? And his grace is shining upon you and through you for other people to see. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And so he's lifting you up because he's walking with you, and that all should be giving you peace. So I'm praying that blessing on you all right now. Again, I love this blessing so much. But so I pray the Lord blesses you and keeps you. The Lord makes his face to you, shine upon you, and be gracious to you. That the Lord lifts up his countenance upon you and gives you peace. All right. My best friend used to close every service reading that verse to the congregation. Amen, dude. That verse goes so hard. I didn't realize because I didn't. I'm reading the study Bible this time, and so on that part in particular, it said that is the oldest blessing that we have ever discovered with like Yahweh's name attached to it. And I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh man, that. And it's a great blessing, dude. It just hits home for everybody every single time. So, yeah, I pray that blessing on all you guys. I pray that you guys understand that God is walking with you, that he's taking care of you, and he's providing for you way more than you guys even realize. Just go out there, accept his abundance, accept his blessings, understand that you are taken care of and he does care for you, that no matter what storm you're going through, you have peace because you have his protection, and you should feel free to smile through the whole thing. In Jesus' name, guys, good night. Have a good one. Sleep tight. See you guys tomorrow. God bless.